Hi everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Business World. Today we'll be talking about the third item that is in your toolkit that you use to evaluate purchasing a business. And that is understanding the market position of the business. So what do I mean by the market position of the business? It means that you must have a very clear understanding of the product or service that the business offers and who is the intended or target customer for the business. Now that sounds a little abstract, so I'd like to walk you through a couple of different examples to make it more clear. So in the market for cars, you have a tremendous diversity of different kinds of automobiles that are sold to a very diverse array of customers. You have new and used cars, you have luxury cars, you have more budget or economical cars, and everywhere in between. So many of those vehicles are targeted towards specific consumers, and they typically fall on a continuum between the budget side to the extreme luxury or exotic sports car side. Another example to make this fairly clear would be restaurants. You have very inexpensive fast food restaurants or the proverbial hot dog stand on the corner, or food trucks, although food trucks these days can sell some higher end food and actually be not as inexpensive, but they used to be more targeted towards the more inexpensive meals or reasonably priced meals. But then you also have on the other end luxury or fine dining. And you've got a great continuum everywhere in between that, to the family chain style restaurants going squarely for middle of the road. So again, restaurants are a fairly good example of that in terms of different market positions targeting different customers. And third, housing. Now, older housing is a little bit sort of more difficult to put on this continuum because it may have been built decades or even 100 years ago or more, especially in the older neighborhoods. So back then, there wasn't as much thinking towards target marketing and market segments and all of that. However, newer housing often is targeted towards specific groups. You may have young housing targeted towards young urban professionals. You might have it targeted towards retirees. You might have the housing targeted towards more married couples with younger children. And the developers definitely target those projects and that housing to those different groups. And again, it can be on a continuum of very budget friendly to extreme luxury. So those are sort of, again, looking at cars, looking at restaurants, looking at housing, you can really see some very clear and commonsensical examples of different market positions of the businesses or products and services and who those products and services are being targeted to. So why is this important in the context of you buying a business? It's important because understanding the market position will allow you to determine if the business can grow or not. So let's go with the example of a restaurant in a very small town that doesn't really have much population around it for 100 miles. Now, maybe the restaurant's doing fine, but realistically, the idea of, say, doubling or tripling the number of customers coming into that restaurant just is not going to happen. Again, the market position of that restaurant may be very good in the town that it's in, but it's targeted, in a very limited population, and you might not be able to do much in terms of getting new people in there. Does that mean it's a bad business or a bad purchase? Absolutely not. But there may be more limited options in terms of growth of that type of business. The other very important thing to keep in mind with looking at the market position of a business is while you might be able to grow a business, is that growth worth the money? So, for example, let's take the example of grocery stores. Now, grocery stores make a very small amount of money for every individual that walks through there. I don't know the official statistics on it, but I believe it's $1 out of every 100 they receive is actually net profit. It may even be smaller than that. So for a grocery store to expand, or rather expand its profitability, they have to get a lot of new customers and have to spend a fair amount of money to get those new customers. So is that expansion worth it? Everyone needs groceries. The market for groceries is enormous, but does that make it really viable to expand and get those customers? So, that is a very, very important point. Now, certain industries, such as the more luxury, or rather certain segments of industries, I should say, such as the more luxury segment of the industry, can have what are called higher margin customers. So each additional customer might be worth more, but again, you have to have a great product offering or service offering to acquire those customers. So it's not easy to acquire them. So how does all this relate, bringing it back to you evaluating a business? So when you understand the product or service offered and who the target customer is, you can say, gee, how many more of them are available in the local or relevant market? There might be quite a few of them. But then you also need to look at what is it going to cost me to acquire or get those customers, and is that realistic? So in the end, you're asking yourself, by conducting this analysis, what is the pathway to growth for this business, if any? And the business may not have a pathway to growth. Now, if you're looking for a stable business that's got good, consistent earnings and revenues, going back to the example of the restaurant in the small town, could still be a great purchase for you, but it is something to be aware of. Again, fundamentally, the market position, understanding the market position of the business will allow you to determine if, how, and where, and when the business can grow in the future. I hope you enjoyed our segment today, and please leave some feedback below. Send us an email, like us, follow us, tell everybody about us, and look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you.